So we've had a lot of responses to a video Reid Mihalko and I did about incel, which is involuntary celibacy. And one of the things that someone wrote in is that he, as a gentleman who's had this problem, he's not been able to connect with someone sexually for a long time, he feels that women have all the power and that he has no choice. Like, they have all the choice, and that because they all have all the power and are not necessarily fair about it, that he feels very disempowered. And I was wondering if you would share, you have a coaching, you have a practice where you see people. If someone came in and presented that to you, how would you respond?
So I think the first thing I would want to do is really reflect and honor the pain that that person is feeling. That's a really painful space to be in, to feel like there is this type of connection and pleasure and enjoyment and relationship that you don't even get access to. And to feel so powerless and to feel so helpless in that's a lot of pain, and that's valid pain. Regardless of what is going on, that hurts a lot. And I think that until that person feels like that pain has been heard and validated,
it's really hard to move forward.
It's going to be hard to move forward, yeah.
And just so we don't forget, this is Dr. Liz from Sex Positive Psych.
This is Cathy Bartuli from the Intimacy Dojo. So I think, again, step one is like validating that pain is real, regardless of what is happening in the world and how much is interpretation versus reality. Like, regardless of any of that, it really hurts when you feel like no one wants you. It really hurts when you feel like you're out of control.
And our culture kind of sucks with status and who's valuable sexually and not.
Yeah, we have a lot of really toxic messages in our culture about who is valuable sexually. For me, I've had a lot of sexual partners. So as a slut, I'm not as valuable sexually as a virgin, as a woman, right? And the hierarchy of who has sexual value and what it means and where. Your
age or the number on the scale, how attractive conventionally, like how much you look like what society says you should look like, what color your skin is.
Right. There's a whole lot of factors that are really toxic and born of really problematic systems that lead to this felt and perceived system of ranking and judgment that can be really harmful to a lot of people. And I think that honoring that system exists is another important step, is saying that there are a lot of people who buy into that belief that unless you look a certain way, have a certain number of sexual partners, are a certain age, that you're not valuable sexually. And that's a big issue.
Or you're not even seen as sexual. I know one of the reasons I'm very shy, one of the reasons I talk about sexuality as a bigger person is that a lot of people don't even see bigger people as being sexual.
Yeah, well, and the same is true of people with disabilities, especially visible disabilities. I have a good friend, Robin Wilson Beatty, of Sex Abled, who has a chronic disability and runs into a lot of doctors who don't assume that she ever has sex. She has run into doctors who have told her that it would be irresponsible of her to have a child.
And she has a child, and she's an amazing mom.
Yeah, she's an amazing mom. And there's this very strange thing where in our culture, if they wouldn't want to watch you doing porn, you shouldn't have sex or be a sexual person. And that's not fair, and that's not okay. And that's not true. Like, everyone deserves pleasure, and everyone deserves a satisfying sex life. So once we've validated all that hurt and that pain, what I would want to look at is whenever I'm working with someone who feels like they have no choice or no power, I like to zoom way out and look at what things they do have choices about, right? So for instance, in the dating world, who are you choosing to view as worthy of dating you, right? Are you only attracted to people who are on that same scale that you're bemoaning as it applies to you?
I think it is easy when we see, if we feel like our status has been constantly demeaned, we want to regain that status, and in our mind that may be only by sleeping with someone that meets the conventional norms.
Sure. And there are a lot of people who turn folks down because of how they look that might have otherwise had a really great connection. And so I would, again, zoom way back. Like, what are the choices that you do have? If you're someone who's not having any sexual contact, there are a lot of really fantastic sex workers who are great at what they do. There are people who do one-directional sexual touch, who do sexological body work or surrogate partner therapy, who do things like bondage or sacred intimate work. There are a lot of people who it is their job to help you rediscover your body and rediscover your sexuality and rediscover how to connect with someone. And there's no shame paying for that.
Yeah.
It's a professional service. I feel like there's this huge stigma against sex work that is really harmful, not just to sex workers, but to those who could benefit from sex work.
Right. And it's hard when you feel like there's no way to get a need met. That
right.
It's very easy to feel, our primitive brain goes, oh my God, I might die. People do not need sex to live, but it certainly is a delightful thing to have in our lives. We do need touch.
We do need touch. Yeah. We need touch, and we need connection. And that's because we're social animals. If we don't get touch or connection, we do start suffering. And I think some of what I see in a lot of these situations, and it's not just for people who identify as incel, it's for a lot of people who feel like they're in a powerless situation, is that they've gotten to this space of learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is what happens when you have something negative happen to you a bunch of times, and your attempts to escape don't succeed. So you give up. You give up. Yeah, you give up on being able to escape or being able to change things.
It's a freeze response. So you fight, flight, freeze. If you can't fight and you can't flee, then you just freeze. And it's hard to break that pattern.
Yeah.
Unless if you have a coach or therapist, they can walk you through it. But repeating the same patterns is often just going to reinforce that same pattern.
Yeah. And I think that it's really easy for us to look at whether we have control over very big things and lose focus on the small things that we do control, right? What are the things that you do have control over every day? What are the things that you could do to help you feel better about this? What do you have control over, right? You can never force any person to like you. I get turned down a lot. It's not uncommon. And we can't force someone to like us. And we also need to find a space to be okay with any one person not liking us and not turn that into no one will ever like me.
And owning our own self. Like, just if someone else rejects me, if I'm having a low day, it lands really heavy, and it's really easy to be like, I'm a horrible person, and stop being there for myself.
Right.
Versus, okay, that person said no, I'm going to be here for me no matter what. Yeah. And that's a different way of receiving it, and I think the energy of interaction is very different. Yeah. If there's always an approach of defensiveness, which is very well earned often, or dejectedness, it doesn't increase our chances of having that connection.
Yeah. The reality is, if someone were to walk up to you and ask you if you wanted to interact sexually, and the way that they came to you was in a space of desperation or in a space of, you could tell that they really dislike themselves, you would probably be far less likely to say yes.
Yeah, shame is very toxic, and people want to pull away from shame.
Yeah, and when you walk up to someone, the way that you present yourself tells them what they should think about you. If you walk up to someone with the attitude of, no one's going to like me, I'm really unattractive, no one's ever going to want to have sex with me, you're going to teach them to treat you that way, right? And I'm not saying walk up to people and pretend that you think you're the hottest thing that ever happened and pretend you're someone you're not. But what is it about you that makes you worthy of love? Everyone is worthy of love. What is it in particular for you? What makes you special? What makes you unique? What makes you an amazing potential lover, right? What is it that you have to offer? And focus on that in yourself so that when you approach someone, that's what they're getting from you.
And if you're not sure if you're an amazing lover or any of those things, develop skills to communicate and have powerful relationship. Take classes on how to touch your partner so that you can have that confidence. Like, I'm very shy, but I know that I know how to touch people pretty well. So it helps me approach people a little differently than if I was like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and if you don't feel like you know how to be a good lover, then that's work you can do on your own, or again with like a sex worker or people who do sexological body work or who do other kinds of training. There are a lot of people who can help you shore up your skills so that when you walk up to someone, you have that internal confidence and you're less focused on all the reasons they're going to reject you.
Yeah, and if you don't live like in California, there's a lot more access to that than in some places. But there's a lot of online video and online courses that you could do, or plan your next trip out and get those needs and that education so that when you approach someone, it's not with the same level of timidity or overwhelm.
Yeah. If you don't like yourself, it's going to be hard for other people to like you. And you have to find that space of loving yourself and feeling worthy in order for others to be able to see that in you.
Yeah. We hope this helped. With a lot of compassion, this is shared with a lot of compassion.
It is so hard. You know, I remember, especially in high school, there were a lot of folks who I really wanted to spend time with or hook up with, and I didn't feel like I was worthy of them. Mm-hmm. And so I never even asked. I never even approached them. I never even tried. And the folks who I did talk to, because I was coming from this space of feeling like not good enough, they didn't treat me very well. They weren't as interested. And I think that I lost a lot of opportunities because I wasn't good with me. And until I was good with me, I just didn't have the same kind of life.
Yeah. So if you can be your own advocate and be there for yourself, that's a big step forward. We hope this helped. We'd love to know what you think.
Yeah. Leave us a comment.
Yeah. Congratulations on taking this time for yourself and learning these things. If you'd like to follow more of this, you can subscribe to my channel here. Social media is up here, and there's more videos of this type here. See you soon.